Greetings and welcome everyone. I am so pleased to see you all here tonight. Tonight we are officially launching the research project, Power, Politics and Gender Justice in the Anglophone Caribbean. Women's understandings of politics, their experiences of political contestation and the possibilities for gender transformation. Our newly minted logo was designed by UWI Cultural Studies PhD candidate Marsha Brown. I believe Marsha is here. Marsha, please wave. Yes, thank you, Marsha. This project began to take place when Dr. Rawaiga Batch, then team leader of the Women's Rights and Citizenship Program at the Canadian International Development Research Centre, or IDRC, Dr. Francisco Monti, Senior Program Specialist in Social and Economic Program area at the IDRC, who's here with us today, Roberta Clark, the Regional Program Director of the Caribbean Regional Office of UN Women, when these people met with the IGDS St. Augustine units. Power Center meeting with these people all at once. They met with Professor Jane Parpart, who at the time was our graduate studies coordinator. They met with our first PhD graduate, Dr. Camille Samuel, and they met with myself. Out of that meeting, the title for this project was conceptualized, and it reflects the overlapping concerns of those present. A desire to understand more about the relationship between democracy and gender in the Anglophone Caribbean, to critically examine gaps between policy and implementation, to investigate the nitty-gritty workings of power at leadership levels in a 21st century context where notions of gender equality have permeated the society, like sugar in coffee, to quote Professor Patricia Mohammed, and to approach the struggle for gender justice ethnographically. These were our concerns ethnographically through being in the spaces where actual negotiations are. These were our concerns, and in the months following that initial meeting, IDRC agreed to provide a 2-year research grant that would enable us to further the scholarship examining the potential that politics can provide for transforming the region, and particularly the lives of Caribbean women. This transformation is, of course, necessary for us to challenge power inequities at all levels of decision-making, to have greater say over the direction of our economies and our environment, and to create societies where deep democracy exists in families, organizations, communities, and government. This is what we mean by gender justice. A conceptual grounding in gender justice means that this project is not about women. It does examine women's leadership, but quota systems, national gender policies, political parties, democratic struggles, and feminist activism are all areas where men also play a part. To that end, we aim to build on significant literature in the area of women and politics in a way that includes an analysis of masculinities. The Power, Politics and Gender Justice Project examines 4 strategies to promote democratic governance, women's rights, and gender equality. We call these strategies because women's political leadership, national gender policies, electoral quota systems, and transformed ways of wielding power are not ends in themselves. Rather, they are pathways to creating greater justice of all kinds through the workings of state, government, and society. Women's political leadership is explored for the extent to which it creates greater governmental will and capacity to more actively and effectively transform gender relations in and out of the state. Quota systems are assessed for their impact on effective women's participation and leadership in representative government. The usefulness of national gender policy documents for promoting gender equality is evaluated. And finally, the impact of feminist movement building on women's capacity to be effective transformational leaders within democratic political life is also investigated. This project seeks to document the history of struggle around these strategies by focusing on 3 Caribbean nations, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Dominica. The first phase focuses on wide historical and regional review of these 4 strategies. And over the next 2 days, 4 researchers will be presenting their initial findings to our Project Advisory Committee for feedback in what we aim to be a collaborative and mentoring approach to producing regional and feminist scholarship. Those researchers are Ms. Deborah McPhee. Deborah, are you here? Deborah is probably at the back. Ms. Shirley Campbell. Welcome, Shirley. Professor Anthony Bracessa and Dr. Nafi Prasadi. Nafi. The second phase will be based on ethnographic case studies in the 3 countries and of the Caribbean Institute for Women in Leadership, which is called CWIL. And another 4 researchers will be scheduled to begin in the second half of the year. The Caribbean Institute for Women in Leadership is coordinated out of the IGDS Mona unit in Jamaica. This institute aims to move beyond the numbers, to transform the meaning of power for women. Women from 6 Caribbean countries have participated in 2 years of training over 2 years, and we want to know what difference this has made to their lives. Our project advisory committee over these 2 years comprises Professor Selwyn Ryan, Professor Patricia Mohammed, Professor Mark Figueroa, Dr. Cynthia Barrow-Giles, who's here with us today, Dr. Barrow-Giles, Dr. Eugene Barrow, Dr. Lee Dunn, and Ms. Monica Williams, as well as Dr. Rawaya Batch. Also participating in the 2 days is Lynette Vassell, Community Development and Gender Specialist from the Women's Resource and Outreach Center in Jamaica. And Lynette was on television with me this morning discussing some of the issues from a Jamaican perspective. The important work of advancing women's power and participation in politics at national and government levels has been ongoing for many decades. And what this project seeks to do is document and examine not just the lives of Caribbean women political leaders or the effectiveness of policy, but the struggles of Caribbean feminist and women's movements to influence political structures and spaces, leaders, processes, and informal ways of doing things. At the heart of this research project is a commitment to put feminist activism and the collective efforts of women at the center of any analysis of governance, participation, and power. That's the big picture. Where are we going from here? First, there will be an edited collection produced based on the research produced of the 8 researchers. Second, we are supporting additional research that will constitute 2 journal special issues. One of these journals will be the Caribbean Review of Gender Studies, which is our in-house journal at the Institute, and I invite you to take a look at it online. You just have to type Caribbean Review of Gender Studies in Google. There you will find not only essays, but photo and video essays and activist dialogues, all theorizing gender in the Caribbean. We also aim to have a 2013 conference and to produce these publications following that conference, where the data collected from around the Anglophone region will be presented, and I'm extending an invitation to all of you from now to be present at that conference in 2015. As you would have seen in the images that were scrolling when you came in, we are also initiating an open access online archive of photos of women participating in politics around the region. By this we don't mean women political elites, but ordinary women who, as we all know, are the backbone of Caribbean party politics. Those images that document who those women are and how they are involved need to be systematically collected and made available. And we hope to work with the UE Library and newspapers from around the region, as well as professional and amateur photographers, to develop this archive. The flagship project of this archive will be an open access online exhibit titled Click Power, to which all of you are invited to submit photographs of yourselves and others during both the past and the present. Finally, we are producing a film documenting the many strategies used by the women's movement to increase women's power and participation in politics as part of making it more responsive to the lives, needs, and rights of women. While these strategies reflect the work of many women, this film takes a more personal approach by focusing on the involvement of the seemingly indefatigable, and I think quite amazing, Hazel Brown, who is with us tonight. And there is more to come. Just yesterday, the IGDS and the Women's Institute for Alternatives in Development, or WINAD, co-organized a conversation amongst women in politics. This constitutes another source of data, and in small and large ways, I expect us to continue to expand our approach and our reach. These are exciting times globally, regionally, and nationally. This is why this project launched Dr. Rika will be bringing you perspective from Egypt. You will see quotes from CWIL, the Institute, from the participants in CWIL who are from Jamaica and Belize, projected on the walls outside while you eat snacks and drinks. So you should look for those quotes outside. They'll be projected on the walls of Daaga. And we've had a quick look into a perspective of our feminist, activist, political history in Trinidad. We have only 2 of the 5 women political leaders in a 53-country Commonwealth. We are still to secure a national gender policy. We are pleased to have the Minister with us today. Something being struggled for more than 20 years. There continue to be low levels of elected women in the Anglophone region, below 33% in every country. And as we are painfully aware, from homes to the House of Parliament, we need new notions of power, as power with and power to, not dominance of power over. Much remains to be done in the academy, in politics, and in our civil society movements for greater gender justice, without which there can be no sustainable democracy. What I have outlined are the small ways that we at the IGDS hope to play a part. I thank you.